So, humbly welcome the word that has been planted in you and is able to save your souls. This word, which we come together this morning to celebrate, is basically the mind of Christ. And it is our most important task for each of us as disciples of Jesus to put on this mind of Christ. It means forming a spirituality and looking at life through the eyes of Jesus, the human condition, and the mystery we call God. So this morning's gospel gives us some good ideas of how we can do this, put on this mind of Christ. First of all, it's important to realize that it cannot be reduced to a formula. Formulas are external structures that Jesus criticizes as mere human traditions handed down from one generation to another. They are straitjackets that rather than freeing the spirit to act in spontaneous and creative ways, it binds us to a dead letter of the law. My life goal is to put on the mind of Christ. My life goal is to put on the mind of Christ. So there are a couple of underlying elements to this mind that can help us make the operating software of our mind the mind of Christ. As I meditate on the gospel, I see a couple. One is that God's commandment of love has to do with one's identity. And the second is that we live from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Both of these principles reveal Christ as my core identity, and I choose to live out of them and put on the mind of Christ. So, love is the rock on which my identity exists. Notice that Jesus does not say commandments. He says one commandment: love God above all things and your neighbor as yourself. So let's reflect for a couple of minutes on this central role of love. So what is love? Love is the energy toward union. It's coming together. The mind of Christ with the eye of faith sees God himself, you and me and the world as essentially one great act of love. An act of compassion. My identity, my true self, is one of peace and of this great cosmic puzzle moving toward unity. That our essential call is to be a bridge builder. I am a lover connected with all of creation, including God. Building and living in this one kingdom of love is the mind of Christ. See, the problem stems from our broken tendency to see the world as fragmented, as little bits and pieces, all separated. This is the rotten tree that bears rotten fruit. Evil thoughts, unchastity, theft, murder, adultery, greed, deceit, licentiousness, and every form of arrogance, and folly. All comes from the middle, from the inside, when we are operating on the basis of fragmentation. Evil comes from within when our life is not ordered toward love. And we can see what St. Augustine meant when he said, "Love and do what you will." I choose love as the rock on which my identity exists. I choose love as the rock on which my identity exists. To live God's commandment of love moves us to the second element of the mind of Christ. Because love is not just what I do, it is who I am. I live from the inside out. See, the prevailing consciousness is the person with the most toys when he dies wins. My identity are the things I surround myself with. I am my clothes, I am my education, I am my bank account, my house, my body, my social status, job, and of course all these things are good and important. But they cannot bear the weight of the mind of Christ. As I identify myself with these things, they actually become addictions and enslave us. My identity is built on sand, and these things will actually ultimately crush me. They will seduce me into a life of chasing rabbits, going nowhere. Anxiety will prevail as the natural ordering and narrowing of life. Jesus calls us to tending that inner landscape, rejoicing and celebrating the good things of human life, but realizing that they are not who I am. I am deeper. I am a sacred call to love at the very core of my being. It's my secret name that has been held in the heart of God for all eternity. And I have been chosen uniquely, each one of us, out of billions of stars and years and things, to have one brief moment of dance in which we reveal this beautiful presence of a loving God in love. God has given my unique existence an infinite value. So as Jesus says so clearly, I choose to live my life from the inside out. I choose to live my life from the inside out. Whenever I do sharings on the gospel, I often begin with what does the gospel say and what is it going to cost me? And that puts people on alert there. And frankly, this particular gospel is a toughie. It's a very powerful one because God is asking you and me to give over a blank check of my life to God and living the God life within the particular choices and situations in which I find myself in the August of 2021. This mind is what led Jesus to the cross and to resurrection. And it is, frankly, a little scary. But we have faith in the Holy Spirit, and we have faith in what God has done and is continuing to do within my context of life. And I cling to compassion and wisdom and I strive with every ounce of my being to put on the mind of Christ as I live my daily life.